The question is that the motion be agreed to. Adrian Rirafi.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's a pleasure to rise to speak to this bill. And first of all, I'd like to say that we support the Passport Amendments Bill number 2. And I want to congratulate the Minister again for bringing this bill to the House. Sir, over 1 year ago, Labor, we announced that we indeed would extend the period for passports to 10 years. And so it's great to be able to see one of our policies come into the House, sir. Although 5-year passports were very important and they were brought in for a particular purpose, that purpose is now no longer needed. And that's due to biometric technology, as the Select Committee found last year, sir. 5-year passports have been very unpopular with Kiwis. A lot of the public feel that they've been ripped off, that a 5-year period is not long enough, that having some countries having an expectation that you have a certain amount of time left on your passports really, in effect, meant that the passport was only valid for 4.5 years. And so, sir, we, in the Government Administration Select Committee, as the Minister has mentioned, we heard the submissions, and most of the submissions were in favour of extending the passport periods to 10 years. In fact, if I were to summarise the submissions, they basically said, we agree with 10 years, get on with it. And some of them literally actually said that, get on with it. And so I'm pleased that the Government Administration Committee, as efficient as we are, did actually get on with it and brought forward the commencement date to the 31st of November. And I think that was done as much as anything, so that Kiwis that want to apply for passports in November, December to travel overseas, Christmas, New Year's, will be able to do so. And so I think that's a little something that the Government Administration Select Committee was able to achieve collectively together. And of course, as I said before, 5-year passports have been very unpopular, so it is good that we were able to do that. So the other issue that I wanted to talk about, the cost. Now, there have been reports and information that that the Treasury really want to be charging $400 for passports. That indeed would be very unpopular as well. And so I congratulate the Minister again at getting the cost at $180, but I just want to say this. It needs to be sustainable into the future beyond 2018, which I understand there is a commitment to keep the price at $180. It's important because not only are passports travel documents, they're also identification documents, and some businesses, departments and different organisations require identification such as passports for certain activities and certain processes. And so I think it's important that we make sure that there's access to the ability to have identification of oneself. So it's not just about travel documents. And so we want to make sure also that in supporting that this bill and the cost needs to be kept at a manageable level for ordinary Kiwis. The 1 million Kiwis in particular that live under the poverty line need to be thought about in this instance. So $180, that's a lot of money for some families, and if a family is applying for passports for mum, dad and 2 or 3 tamariki, sir, then that cost is a huge amount in some people's budget. I also want to mention the employees at Internal Affairs. With the extension of passports to 10 years, we expect that there will be fewer, over time, there will be fewer passport applications to process because people will do that every 10 years, not every 5 years. And we've just heard concerns about employment bill that's just gone through its first reading. I want to raise the issue about Internal Affairs staff that currently process passports, that they ought to be redeployed within the ministry and not made redundant, I think. I think that, ordinary Kiwis out there in receiving the ability to have 10-year passports rather than 5-year passports would be, in general, very concerned that people would lose their jobs over this act. So I think that's an important issue. I want to acknowledge also there's some technical changes within the bill which the Minister has talked about. There are some, sir, that I'm sure that we will talk further about at the committee stage, but for now there's we question whether or not it's really necessary for some of those technical issues, and we look forward to debating those further. So this bill is very straightforward. That's very much understood by the general public, and we commend this bill to the House. Kia ora.
I call Sarah Dowie.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Of course, I rise in support of the Passport Amendment Bill number